present its case to the judges. I will hold up a time for the last 12, 7, and 2 minutes, as well as for the last 30 seconds of the presentation. During the last 10 seconds, I will indicate with my fingers the numbers of seconds remaining. If you have not finished your presentation after 24 minutes, you will be stopped in order to proceed with the Q&A period. This period of a maximum of 4 minutes is allocated to the jury at the end of your presentation. The first 12 minutes of the presentation are considered productive. This means that teams can proceed without worrying about being interrupted by the judges. During the next 10 minutes, the judges have the right to interrupt the presentation to ask questions of clarification on this topic at this time. During this period, the beam will be turned on, as you can see on the first row. The judge should be limited to a 15 seconds question. The team must answer the question but can then continue its presentation without waiting for the judge consent. Judges may not ask questions about the topic as already been covered or has not been presented yet. These issues will be addressed during the question period at the end of the presentation. The last 2 minutes of the presentation are to conclude the presentation and are immune the judge's questions. Please note that at any time you cannot say or reference the name of and the location of your university. I will now let the judges introduce themselves. You can start the presentation when they are finished.
Benoît Mario Papillon, professeur. Youmani Jérôme Lampandé, entrepreneur, innovation directe.
Jacques Paquin, Vice President, Business Development, Port of Trois-Rivières.
Caroline Gauthier, directrice générale de la Chambre de commerce de l'Esprit de Trois-Rivières.
Mathieu Gauthier, Business Development Coordinator of Port of Trois-Rivières.
Mesdames et messieurs, bonjour. Mon équipe, composée de Joachim et de Naomi, nous avons l'énorme plaisir de vous présenter aujourd'hui une stratégie qui va vous amener bien au-delà de l'année 2020. Je vous présente The Biofuel Port. Alors, à l'agenda aujourd'hui, nous avons la situation actuelle, le processus de décision, notre recommandation, quelques petits chiffres pour vous expliquer tout cela et comment on va y aboutir avec notre action plan. Repassons à l'anglais. Alors, quelle est l'opportunité aujourd'hui? By creating a specialized storage for biofuels and a sales plan to develop business in the sector, the Port de Trois-Rivières will generate a capacity increase of 23%, as well as earn incremental profit of $632,000 annually, and diversify into a completely new industry, which has both societal and economic benefits. In the long term, we also aim to convert the port into a commercial space and a place where people will come and walk around during the day to visit the intersection of our 3 famous rivers, which will even further advance the 4-part mission that is the Prolongement. So, on course for 2020, just a quick recap. We know it aims to increase the capacity of the port by 75%. And where we are right now is the phase 2, which has just been terminated in 2014. The port is an access way to intermodal shipping. This is what differentiates itself from competitive ports in the area via CPCN railways. You have an excellent reputation as one of the best ports in Eastern Canada. And a little issue that we have noted is there's a little bit of lack of differentiation from the Port of Montreal, which is a big rival that is very close by as well. So, in the information provided, there's noted there a huge, tremendous opportunity of growth in the wood pellet industry. So there's a high global growth in production as well as in demand, especially in Western Europe. And overall, what we have noted as in parallelly is that there's a high global growth in alternative energy as a whole, which includes, of course, biofuels. So this underlying trend just shows that there's a lot of opportunity, and this is what we're going to delve into today.
Now, looking at the Port de Trois-Rivières, there are 4 main goals that have been established for a long time now and that have been continued on with the course of action for 2020. The first is to grow sustainably. Container shipping is already one of the most energy efficient ways of moving freight, and you want to continue on with this mission in as many ways as possible, because the port is not just a stakeholder, does not just have a stakeholder of private businesses, but rather of the entire community and the environment of Trois-Rivières. Space management is also a big issue, especially considering the fact that a lot of the space is not currently revenue generating, as is the case with many ports. Finally, you'd like to differentiate from other ports in the area. Currently, the Port of Montreal is quite similar, and there are very few differentiating factors between Trois-Rivières and Montreal ports. And finally, we'd like to promote the port in the wood pellet industry and gain more business in this particular area. Now, looking at the alternatives, which were endless, we decided to streamline our decision process threefold. First, we know that there's a goal of business development in the wood pellet area, and we deem this fitting considering the industry growth and the business that's already been established in that area. However, there are still some decisions that need to be made in this regard. First is whether to continue on with the on-course for 2020 mission versus to add new features. We have decided to both continue on with the on-course for 2020 vision and add a few new features that supplement this through specialization in storage for wood pellets and other biofuels. Secondly, we'd like to remain in current industries or diversify. We've decided that diversification is the route to take, as many of the industries in which we are currently present are not in high growth periods like other industries such as biofuels that we've presented. However, we are not suggesting that any current business be diminished. Now I'll pass it on to Joachim, who will talk about wood pellets.
Thanks, Naomi. So the wood pellet industry shows a lot of opportunity moving forward, and I believe that is why Le Port de Trois-Rivières wants to delve further into this industry and become an expert within the industry. Now, we realized there were a variety of benefits, but as well there were a few drawbacks. Such as the fact that it can be easily commoditized and all these other beautiful drawbacks. Now, considering the production of pellet throughout the entire world, we see that North America and Western Europe have a high production level. But when comparing this with the global pellet consumption, we see that it's a lot larger in Western Europe, and trends show that this will continue to grow until 2020. Therefore, rather than simply staying with wood pellet, we believe that the Port of Trois-Rivières should become a leader in the biofuel sector as a whole, slowly expanding within different fuels and showing that it becomes one of the leaders in the North American market for this exact purpose. And the way to do so is through a large integrated campaign, which we will talk about moving forward. Now, the biofuel industry, let us look at some numbers to see how it can become beneficial for Trois-Rivières to not simply focus on wood pellet, but really grow within this entire industry as a whole. When we look at the increasing levels, we can see that the North American market, as well as the Asia-Pacific market, are going to be getting more and more demand for biofuels. And therefore, for the North American market, we see an increase in imports of biofuels, which could move through the Port of Trois-Rivières. Now, looking at the expansion plan, the beginning biofuels that we will create an expertise in are wood pellets, ethanol, and cellulose ethanol, and in future years, the algae fuel and biodiesel. And by leveraging the opening of Quebec-based biofuel business plan in Trois-Rivières, this is how we're going to be able to make this happen.
So, looking at specific biofuel solutions, they are twofold. You currently already have some things in place to deal specifically with wood pellets. This includes the basic dry bulk storage and, of course, grain elevators, which are used to transport it. Now, in addition to this, wood pellets are very susceptible to temperature changes and moisture changes in the environment. And considering the weather we've been facing in Trois-Rivières lately, it seems that a type of temperature control regulating system would benefit the maintenance of quality of wood pellets that are being held in the Port de Trois-Rivières. This can be done through the reclaim method, which is a turning of the bin method, so to speak, where the moisture of the product is redistributed throughout the entire to the entire storage unit of the wood pellets in order to maintain the moisture. Now, with regards to other fuels, an example is such as biodiesel. Auto heat regulating tanks can ensure that temperatures remain consistent so as not to destroy the often fragile molecules of biofuels. Now I'll pass it on to Joachim, who will talk about promotions.
So in order for this rebranding to occur and for the world to know that the Port of Trois-Rivières is the best port to use when dealing with biofuel transportation, we needed to come up with an integrated marketing campaign and sales campaign that would take into consideration all these different elements. Now, by doing so, we believe that the Port of Trois-Rivières should hire a new team or to grow the team in the business development sector and go to a variety of trade shows and work with existing and new associations. Not only will this provide knowledge about what is going on in the industry and the trends that are coming about, but it will also allow the Port of Trois-Rivières to secure new connections with the growing and up-and-coming businesses throughout the region, both on a national level and an international level. Now, this leads me to the creation and maintenance of a biomass forum on the Port of Trois-Rivières website. Now, by having a specialized page and staying up to date with the biomass transportation trends and actualities, and working with other ports throughout the world that are already leaders in this industry, notably the Port of Rotterdam, we would then see more and more interaction with the key stakeholders and see a larger increase in movement in the Port of Trois-Rivières for biofuel. And finally, for the website, this was benchmarked off a variety of other leaders of the biofuel industry. But having a certain type of brand narrative, such as striving to become the North American leader in biofuel handling and storing, the Port of Trois-Rivières believes in working closely with businesses, social and professional organizations, and the city of Trois-Rivières. In unity with offering professional and specialized service, the Port of Trois-Rivières stands as a strong advocate for sustainable development and future urban planning, ensuring the increased future efficiency of the port and the city as a whole. Now, what I'm trying to get out of this is that it has to become clear for everyone within the organization, as well as anyone who's a stakeholder around the organization, to work. Now, that's why we want to introduce the employee development program. Now, in parallel with hiring new employees to grow that sector, we'll also be able to train and educate these employees on the best biofuel handling practices, and also set up a committee to work on urban development and the real estate planning with the city of Trois-Rivières.
Now, there are many stakeholders involved in such a large project as a port, and I'm going to touch just on a few of the key issues that face different stakeholders with this expansion. Now, first is the Port of Trois-Rivières itself. Not only can it gain additional revenue from the new storage facilities that are both more efficient and a sellable feature to new clients, they can also gain tourism and green space in the long term when we go into the second phase of the project, and increase sustainability overall by promoting an alternative fuel that is beneficial to society. For the citizens of Trois-Rivières, this means new jobs, employment, and just as the previous expansions have done, this will continue to stimulate the local economy, which is important considering this is a public sector project. Looking at customers, there will be now tailored storage solutions for them that did not exist prior within the North American region. So, as Joachim already mentioned, there was a benchmark that we used, which was the Rotterdam port, and they have already specialized in biofuel and have such become leaders in shipping in that industry and target a lot of specific clients because of it. Finally, local businesses can benefit from the new space that will be created through the port revitalization, and government will be supporting green energy in a way that is financially sustainable. Moving on from this, we can look at the urban development plan. This is the long-term stage of the project that we propose. So Trois-Rivières is already a beautiful city with a unique geographical feature. However, the port has not become this as of yet. In the long term, with the additional revenue generated from this project, you will be able to create new commercial space that can be rented out to retailers, to different businesses to use, and create a green space that will become a hub of pedestrian traffic and potentially arts and culture as well. Looking at the finances, post-phase 2, there was 399,000 meters square of space after both additions are completed. So this would bring us to 2014, which translates to about 1.5 million tons per year of capacity. However, this capacity was built under the assumption that for 750,000 tons of production and flow capacity, there would be about 20,000 meters square of space used. However, if we create specialized storage, we know that that 20,000 figure can be taken down to 6,000. As such, if we take the very conservative assumption of converting 10% of our total space into specialized storage space, such as silos for grains, such as wood pellets, we can increase our capacity to 1.85 million tons annually. This is a 23% increase in capacity just from the storage. Furthermore, this increase in capacity brings us to an increase in earnings. The earnings shift will be more minimal, especially considering the scope, but will still result in a profit increase of $632,000 annually immediately. So we understand that this is a long-term project where some of the returns won't be realized until long after the investment is made, but the efficiency gains that can be created from improving storage are almost immediate upon installation. So that's an additional cash flow that can exist pretty much right away and can fund longer-term projects, including the expansion. So the $25 million investment for specialized storage will lead to a break-even that is quite long-term, but is quite feasible considering that only a 10% storage improvement can lead to this large a profit increase. Finally, we look at risk mitigation, which was one of your key concerns. Now, any type of fuel, especially one that's heading towards commoditization, can be very largely variable in terms of both demand and price. So hedging by having multiple biofuels, all of which are in their growth stage right now, protects us because there are many prices and many different grades we could play with. Now, even within the dry and wet biofuel segments that we have touched upon, there are multiple in each category. There's algal fuel, biodiesel, various kinds of ethanol, and various kinds of grain and wood pellet production. All of these ensure that there are multiple options if the commodities market show that the price decrease is substantial enough to impact the bottom line of the port. Looking at long-term alternative energy growth trends also ensures that this is not a short-term plan. This is not oil and gas or something that experts see as on the decline. This is something that is very long-term and supports trends that are both favored by the government and by public opinion. Finally, we're leveraging local and regional businesses. This is not so much a risk mitigation factor financially as it is in terms of support. Obviously, an expansion of this higher budget and size requires public support, and the more revenue that can be generated for local businesses by making Trois-Rivières a hub city for shipping benefits the entire community. In the long term, the rental space, due to the commercial leasing, and can also be of benefit to small businesses. Finally, we accounted for the non-financial goals such as sustainability and made them our primary objective when choosing the industry to diversify into.
Okay, all right, so let's look at what this is going to look like from day one tomorrow. So basically, the storage investment requires a lot of new technology that we're going to have to absorb within the port. So we'd like to mitigate risks once again by adopting a multi-entry strategy and starting in with grains which are physically more that have same physical features as the wood pellets that we are currently present in today. Once we have incorporated this technology within the port, we will move on to other kinds of biofuels, such as the liquid form, so ethanol, algae, everything of the sort. Such a huge investment requires also increasing the awareness of the projects within the city itself, but also internationally. So we have dedicated a substantial amount to promotion. As Joachim has mentioned, we are going to attend various trade shows to get a buzz about le port de Trois-Rivières, but also hire direct sales staff. We know in business development this is crucial, and we've accounted this within our budget. We also have contacted professional associations, to make sure that we are up to speed with all the recent technology in the transportation and handling of biofuels. We also aim to rebrand the website, so to really emphasize how you are such a sustainable and substantial part of the city of Trois-Rivières as a whole. It's no longer a port, it's a tourist destination. It's a destination for commercial activity and also for a little stroll on a Sunday. And finally, we'd like to sponsor local initiatives that emphasize sustainability to really make sure that sustainability is matched with le port de Trois-Rivières. In the long term, as we mentioned before, so not only talking about the handling of biofuels, but of the rebranding of the port as a whole. This is where we put in at the 48-month mark the renovation of commercial property, so to make sure that all the land is used most efficiently. The port is located in a very rich location that has a strong image to fulfill, so we want to make sure that it's used to the best extent, both commercially but also for the inhabitants of Trois-Rivières, which is can be seen through the public green space emphasis and of tourism. Now, to make sure we are all on the same page today and that tomorrow you can go ahead and run on with this recommendation, let me give you a few key takeaways. So, by creating this specialized storage for biofuels and a sales plan that will develop business in the sector of alternative energy as a whole, the port de Trois-Rivières will, again, increase capacity by 23%, something which is very important as we've noted that there is an underutilization of capacity as of today. Also earn profits right now, which is not often the case in the business world, so $632,000 annually. And also diversify into new industries, so therefore mitigate risk, but also this diversification will bring both societal and economic benefit to the port and to the city. In the long term, this space will just make sure that everyone is aware of the beauty of Trois-Rivières and will attract and grow tourism within this beautiful city. Thank you very much, and we open the floor to questions.
Thank you very much. I have many questions, but I will start with only one. Probably I won't go further than that. Where is the plan about wood pellets in your whole strategy that you propose? What do we do with that specific opportunity that we addressed in the document, in the case, and that we wanted to get some advice about from you?
So, as we've mentioned, we see wood pellets as being a great move forward into industry expansion for the poor, but at the same time, we feel it was limiting, which is why we expanded into all biofuels. To address wood pellets specifically, we feel that the storage component and the protection of the quality of wood pellets will create a specialized differentiating feature for the Port de Trois-Rivières that it currently lacks. allowing wood pellets to be more safely and securely transported via this port will differentiate it from the other ports in eastern Canada and will thus become a selling point. Now, our entire promotional strategy was all-encompassing when we mentioned it initially, but currently the Wood Pellet Association is hosting a conference at an international level in Montreal only 2 months from now. So by attending events such as that, even more than you're already currently doing, wood pellets will become a large part of your biofuel portfolio.
Okay. Because I understand that there are many other opportunities in the biofuel or biomass sector, and but the thing is, each of those opportunities require different facilities from a point of view, and of course that means a different type of investment that we will have to make to take advantage of that, and the starting point was the wood pellets, because we need tonnage to start the ball rolling, and I'm not clear in my mind from based on what you presented how it's going to take place though.
So looking at our timeline, wood pellets are part of the grain category. We used the term grain because it's a more general term for solid biofuels, but wood pellets would make up the majority of this. Also, based on our research, we found that the infrastructure and equipment required for different solid biofuels is very similar. Grain elevators, conveyor belts, moisture-controlled storage facilities. So while this technology is initially going to be applicable to only wood pellets, it will then be able to be applied to other types of solid fuel. Now, with the liquid fuel, which does not come in until the 24th month of the plan, assuming success with the solid biofuel, this would require a different type of technological investment. That will be controlled more for heat than for moisture. We'll have a different pressurized storage containers, and as such will be a totally different type of investment. However, based on research, we found that whether the fuel is from algae or from different forms of ethanol, the storage required is actually quite similar. The main issue at that point would be capacity, getting enough storage to open up as much business as you would be able to retain.
Other questions? Well, thank you again. Thank you very much. So,